The Hills Bakery is closing its doors for good after months of enduring what they say was relentless harassment. UpRising Bakery and Cafe says it will close at the end of this month. The owner says it's because of the attacks and harassment for attempting to host drag performances. Last year, the bakery's windows and doors were smashed and hate messages were painted on the building. The Sun-Times reports there are several fundraisers being held this month to try and save the bakery.
All right, guys, so we have a classic get woke, go broke story, or go woke, go broke, however you want to say it. We have a classic one of these stories where you have these businesses that decide to dip their toe into politics, progressive politics, far left politics, woke politics. All those terms are basically synonymous to me, el mismo, right? But yeah, they decide to go woke, okay? And they basically go broke as a result of going woke. And again, this story right here is exactly what I'm talking about. As we had a woke suburban Chicago bakery go broke because they decided that it was a good idea to host a, quote, all ages drag show. And let's just say that did not work out well for them when customers in the community first learned that this is what they were doing. They were trying to host a drag show for all ages where kids could attend and see it. Didn't go well for them. But before we get in that, I have to remind you guys how you can personally avoid going broke by listening to a message from our sponsor, Noble Gold. The second and third largest bank runs in history happened this week. This means that the government is going to take steps to guarantee all deposits. This means more money printed from the government. Thousands have approached Noble Gold Investments to secure their wealth with gold. Gold is the most stable asset outside of government control. Hurry and go to noblegoldinvestments.com to secure your wealth and get a free 5-ounce America the Beautiful coin if you qualify. noblegoldinvestments.com, noblegoldinvestments.com. But remember, there's always a risk of investment and there's no guarantee of any kind.
According to this letter from the village's attorney, this business strip where the bakery is housed is not zoned for entertainment events. So if the owner continues to host them, she could face a hefty fine and possibly her liquor license revoked.
So when you're done, you can do it.
On a Saturday evening,
Well, what hasn't happened is the question.
business at UpRising Bakery and Cafe
So they have like the best gluten-free pastries.
showing remnants of support.
She's been through a lot, and just when you thought that she was past the hump, it seems to be snowballing on her.
These empty seats were supposed to be filled for Disney karaoke night. That event abruptly canceled as future ones are now in jeopardy, following a letter sent to owner Karina Sack on Thursday from the village of Lake in the Hills.
Any and all events here need to cease immediately. Otherwise, they were going to potentially take action against us, including fines, revocation of our business license, our liquor license.
That's because, according to this letter, the business strip is not zoned for entertainment events that have been hosted here since the bakery opened back in November.
So it's just when we added something that was LGBTQ and stuff like that it caused an uproar.
The response?
I'm outraged.
Coming a week after her bakery was vandalized with hate messages hours before it was supposed to host a family-friendly drag show.
The only thing I could do was just cry. I just looked around at everything and cried.
For now, she's forced to cancel all of her upcoming events, but says her fight with the village is only beginning.
We are working with our attorneys, so hopefully with their guidance, their help, and their support, we can find a path forward.
In Lake in the Hills, I'm Trey Ward, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
The village of Lake in the Hills released a statement tonight saying in part that the issue is about a business conducting activities it never had a permit for. The village president also says that there is no discrimination on the part of the village and it's solely acting to enforce its zoning regulations to protect the interests of all the businesses and residents in the area around UpRising Bakery.
Yeah, so I want y'all to understand. This bakery owner thought it was a good idea to have a, quote, drag show for all ages, including kids, okay? Now, this is a time in which, you know, summer of 2022 where the drag stuff really kicked up, the pushback against it, and they decided it was a good idea to go super woke, okay? They already pretty woke. They wanted to go even more woke and to take it to the ultimate level of woke. And it turns out that the customers didn't like that. And also they were violating zoning rules, which apparently they were flying on the radar in regards to hosting entertainment events. But, you know, when you host things or you attempt to do things like host drag shows for kids, people gonna snitch on you, right? They're gonna go to the authorities and say, look, this establishment is hosting, you know, drag shows for kids. What can we do about this? And then they go and find some obscure rule that they don't really ever enforce, right? And then they decide that, hey, we're going to enforce it on you because you're doing things that the customers and the residents in the area don't agree with, right? And here's the thing. If they actually did agree with it, this bakery would not be facing the problems that it's facing, okay? If the customers, if the local community agree with what they tried to do, what they attempted to do, if a majority of them agree with it, this wouldn't be happening. Because now, fast forward to March of 2023, which is basically, what, 8-9 months since that happened, this bakery is going broke, right? This bakery is legitimately shutting down.
Suburban Bakery is closing its doors at the end of the month. UpRising Bakery and Cafe says it will close for good on March 31st. The owner says the closure comes in response to continued harassment of its staff and customers. The harassment, along with weeks of protests and even a vandalism attack, comes after that bakery announced plans to hold a family-friendly show featuring drag performers back in July. The bakery is now holding several events in hopes of raising money to help keep that bakery open.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that. This bakery is shutting down now. They're closing down. They literally got woke and they got broke, okay? They effed around and found out in regards to how people feel about them hosting a drag show with kids. Now, they're crying and saying that, well, this is because of harassment and hate and vandalism, and I don't think that that's what it's because. I really don't think that that's it, okay? I think that, well, people just stopped shopping at the bakery. I think people are like, hey, I don't support this. I don't support what this bakery's doing. I'm just not going to eat here. And I'm pretty sure that's probably what had more to do with them going out of business than anything else. Because usually when this type of stuff happens, right, and the local community actually agrees with it, they're like, oh, okay, we're okay with this. They will come out in support of the business in the sense that they will go in there and buy more stuff there, right? They will make sure that, you know, the business survives or whatever. In this case, the locals in the area let the bakery go out of business, right? They decided to stop going and get their cakes there, right? And they shut down. But no. Again, it's hate and bigotry, right? That's what it is. It's not the citizens, the local residents saying, look, we don't want to support a business that's into that type of stuff. Like, I mean, hey, you got to be careful when you get into this type of politics. I'm just saying, this is what happens. Let's read here. This is what they're saying. Quote, closing our doors is the direct result of the horrific attacks, endless harassment, and unrelenting negative information about our establishment in the last 8 months, owner Karina Sachs said in a statement. UpRising Bakery and Cafe first made headlines last summer when the bakery scheduled a drag show brunch that was set to be for all ages in what would eventually become part of a national trend. The bakery was quickly targeted with hateful comments and negative fake reviews, and later threats of violence and vandalism. The night before the planned event, the bakery's windows were broken and walls were defaced with spray paint, forcing the cancellation of the performance. A report from the Anti-Defamation League Center on Extremism makes note of several drag events across the country that have been canceled over safety concerns after being targeted by extremist groups. A similar event at the Dover's Grove Public Library was also canceled due to such threats. Since the vandalism and canceled drag show, Sachs says she has faced ongoing threats, horrific harassment, vandalism, and a lack of support from local government to mitigate the abuse, all of which has led to a decline in sales. Sachs, who identifies as bisexual, said the business would need more than $30,000 to keep its doors open. Yeah, so they have everything in this business, okay? And they're basically about to go out of business unless they can get some help. If business is really that bad for them, then they should probably just go out of business, right? I'm not sure what raising $30K is going to do if you don't actually have customers in the long term, right? You're just going to raise 30K. You're going to burn through it just to say you stayed alive. And then eventually you're going to shut down again. Maybe you should come out and apologize, right? Maybe you should come out as owner and say, hey, I apologize for trying to host this drag event. Now, clearly, the violence is unacceptable. You can't vandalize people's businesses just because you disagree with them politically. You shouldn't do that. That is wrong. But I think this business owner, again, is suffering more from the fact that people have just decided to boycott the business over the alleged vandalism and threats. I think the actual customers themselves deciding not to shop at that bakery or to eat at that bakery or whatever, or to patronize that bakery, I think that is probably a bigger factor than everything else. And I mean, again, this is what happens when you get into politics, you get political. You should not have hosted that drag show if you weren't prepared for boycotts, right? For customers to say, I don't like this. I don't want to eat here anymore. I don't want to support this business anymore. You should have thought about that before you decided to try to host one for all ages. The crazy part is that if they hosted one and they just said it's 18 plus, nobody would have cared, right? Nobody would have said anything. None of this would have happened. And you would have been Gucci, right? You would have been Gucci. Your business would have still been thriving. But it's because you said, oh, it's all ages. You open it up for kids. Yeah, people are going to have a problem with that. And they're going to say, hey, I don't want to eat at this business anymore because this is what you're supporting. Look, the truth is that cancel culture happens on both sides, right? Even though I don't necessarily agree with a lot of cancel culture, this is kind of what happens, right? When you do stuff to this level, people are going to say, hey, I don't want to, shop at a business that supports something that I find to be abhorrent, okay? And that's just what it is, man. That's just what it is. I mean, it's kind of capitalism too, right? I mean, that's kind of how capitalism works as well too, which is why I think these companies, again, for the most part, should just stay out of politics. Then you don't have to deal with it. That is political. When you decide to host a drag show for kids, you basically said, yeah, we're political, right? This is what we support. These are the type of politics that we support. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.